Shakk, is episode 2, is episode 3?
It's episode 2, but it's technically episode 3.
To save the confusion for everybody, this is now episode 3. We're going to class the pilot as episode 1. We're going to class episode 1 as episode 2, and we're going to be on episode 3 right now. And we're breaking down... What are we breaking down, Shakk? I forgot.
24/7.
24/7.
24/7.
24/7.
Yeah.
So, to me, it's got to be my favourite song in the EP. It's got to be my favourite song that you have released yet to date.
Thank you.
What would you say about the song yourself?
I really enjoyed performing the song. And when I wrote it, I didn't expect that, but it's definitely one of my favourites to perform as well, just because of the crowd reaction I can get from it, and just the participation from the crowd too. Like I love it, and the song basically is just a bit of insight on my perspective, and just a few things growing up and how I've dealt with situations. So it just goes through a few topics like that. It's more personal rather than political and stuff of that nature.
Yeah. I agree. The way that you get the crowd going with 24/7, the way that you get the crowd going, I've been obviously part of the crowd, and I've seen you on the stage, and everybody around us is just bouncing. Everybody around us is just buzzing.
Good fun, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's good when you get the arms going, you get everybody interacting, and I think it's quite an engaging song. If I was going to compare it to Pickle Rick, I think, as I've said on the last podcast, I think Pickle Rick, it's kind of stamping your authority. It's getting you out there. Yeah. Whereas this one, it shows a real sign of maturity. And I think we were talking just before we came in here then and you might think I sound ridiculous saying this, but to me, and I'm saying to me, it's a timeless song in the sense of when I look back at this song when I'm 50, 55, 60 years old, it's going to take me back to a moment of time in my life where I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah. And to me, with it being my favourite song on your EP and me being so close to you, it is a timeless song to me. Mm-hmm. And it's an absolute classic. The beat, the sort of, I don't know, just the way that you work the song, it sounds like a real track. The Pickle Rick was a freestyle, Liquid Water was a freestyle, whereas this, it's like an actual song of maturity. It's a song where you're putting yourself out there and you are basically saying, this is what I've got, this is what I'm capable of. Yeah,
and I appreciate you picking up on those things. I mean, with Pickle Rick, it was a freestyle. It was just 3 minutes of me just unleashing everything that was bothering me at the time. With 24/7, it was something that I could really relax when I was writing, and I slowed it right down, just to get my point across in different ways. Like sometimes you just really want to connect with people, and you want to let them know that, you know, whatever you've experienced, I've gone through something similar, and you're not alone. And that's one of the main reasons I make music. I just want to make people understand that we're in this struggle together.
So
and
you
work out together.
In essence, you want to make it relatable, and I think this is actually one of the songs that if I was to show it to an older, let's just say, colleague that I work with, and I was trying to explain the sort of music that you make, this is the song that I would play to them, because this is something that is relatable. This is something where somebody can actually sit back and listen to and be like, you know what, this is good music.
Appreciate that.
And they can't deny it. And I mean, for me personally, because I tend to listen to a lot of 60s, 70s bands. We've just talked about the Beatles. Listen to a lot of Pink Floyd,
love the Beatles,
Rolling Stones, Cream, etc. And the fact that I class their music as timeless, and I'm now classing this song and your music as timeless. Privilege. I think it speaks testament to how good the song is to me. It's got to be my favorite. Has to be my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you enjoy that song, because it's one of my favorites too, and it was a chance for me just to really just let people know about the inner workings of my mind. You know, I'm not afraid to just put myself out there. Like, you can judge me all you want, but I'm going to just be myself fearlessly. Mm-hmm. So I'm obviously going to be really flawed as a person, and nobody's perfect, and I'm definitely not even coming close to perfection. But that's part of what humanizes this whole music process. Like, people put the create idols out of these musicians, and although I'm not really investing myself into idolizing anybody, and I don't think anybody should. We just need to start connecting on more of a human level, man.
Yeah, I think we need to be careful to idolise somebody. Again, it goes back to judging somebody, because you're not also, sorry, when you judge people, you don't always judge people looking down at them. You can also judge people to look up at them. Yeah. And you can sometimes idolize people by judging them, looking up to them. But when you're doing that, you're almost bringing yourself down. If you look at somebody and you idolize them, you can almost damage your own self-esteem, because you think, I'm not as good as them. Am I ever going to be as good as them? And you start to question your own sort of capabilities in life.
It happens, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a role model. I've had plenty of role models, and I've had people that I have looked up to, but it becomes this thing with fame where you these musicians, these actors, whatever, become idolized for the wrong reasons, and it kind of puts them above society, or it dehumanizes them. I'm sure a lot of these people that have been considered as idols, they're going through the same struggles as me and you. And I really don't think that it's an enjoyable way to live your life, but it's part of the process, I guess, these days with becoming popular or famous.
Yeah, I think it is part of the process. And you mentioned role models. I think it's very important to have role models, but you need to also understand that you can probably live up to their standards if you really try hard enough. And so when you have these role models in your life, you can learn from them, but you can also realize that whatever they are doing, you can do also. So don't beat yourself up when you're not in their position, because you know if you try hard enough, if you put the commitment and the hard work, and then you can also get to this point where you can reach the level of your role model.
Exactly, and there's people in a position of privilege. You know, some people might have been born into a musical family or whatnot. You know, people that have already got fame, money, stuff like that. I forgot where I was going with that one. Could we just go? What were you saying just before that? Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what I will do. I'm going to pull out the first lyric of the song. I'm going to turn out, because look in the mirror, who is staring back at me. Scary facts catch me, glaring past like paparazzi. I mean, for me, I'm trying to link it to a crisis in somebody's life. So a crisis in somebody's life to me is when their current situation doesn't line up with their desired lifestyle. Yeah. And you can link that in with role models almost, because you can be living a life a certain way, but you know that that's not how you want to live your life. But you know how you want to live your life. And the crisis is when you're sat in the middle of that gap and you don't really know what to do to live the life that you want to live.
Yeah.
And for me, when you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing the facts stare at you, that's when it becomes scary, because you don't understand what you need to do to move forward in life.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. One day you look in the mirror and you look back at your reflection, you think, is this me? Is this all I've got? So I come to that point in my life as well where I looked in the mirror and I seen the reflection looking back at me, and it was just like, you're capable of so much more than this.
Yes.
Like, you can do this. Like, what are you doing to yourself here? It's not. I didn't feel like I was looking back at myself. That's how deep it got. So yeah.
Did you literally stand and stare in the mirror?
Many times. This morning I looked. Oh, who the fuck? Who am I? Why am I here? Yeah. It stems from that. I'm sure everyone can relate to that, man. You've looked in the mirror. I mean, some people just have like bad hair days and stuff, but this was a bit deeper than that, because every day is a bad hair day for me.
I have many of them.
But yeah, I looked in the mirror and I was just like, I've had enough. I've had enough of whoever this person is looking back at me, because it's not who I envisioned for myself, or it's not the image that I had for myself in my head.
Yeah, I can see
reality check.
Yeah, so you had unfulfilled potential. Potential. Couldn't get my words out there. So I'll take you back to a time I was on a training course at work, and I was speaking to this one lad, and he was highly intelligent. When I was speaking to him, you could tell. And I was asking him, like, what would he like to do? What are his desires in life? And he was only young, I dare say early 20s. Yeah. And I wish I could go back to this moment in time, because I would change my words and I would change the way that I spoke to him. But he turned around to me and said that I'd love to write a book. I love writing. I'd love to write a story. And I said, so what's stopping you? And his answer to me was, well, I'm too young. I haven't got enough life experience to write a book. But what's stopping him going through the process now and learning from the mistakes, so that when the time does come, when it is time to write the real book that he wants to write, he's learned from all these mistakes he's made in the past, and then he can actually go forward and create the book that he wants to create. And I wish I could have told him that then. Instead, I was just like, oh, well, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you do need a little bit more life experience till you can write that book. But
maybe. Well, what book is it? It sounds like a lot of procrastination, doesn't it? I mean, you're faced with a choice. You can either go for something that you want, or you can just keep thinking about it and it'll turn into anxiety.
Yeah, anxiety is it's emotion when you look into the future, and you can change that anxiety into excitement if you really, really try hard. If you channel your thoughts and you start concentrating on positive emotions rather than negative emotions, you can change the anxiety and you can switch it on its head and you can turn it into excitement, because you can only be excited when you look to the future. You can't really be excited when you look to the past. Similarly, you can't be anxious when you look to the past. You're going to be anxious when you look to the forward, to the future. So to me, what you need to do if you get those anxious feelings when you look into the future, you need to try and just put a positive spin in it and get excited instead of anxious.
Do you know what? It's hit me this as well. Do you know when people have these aspirations? So in his brain or in his heart, he truly desires to write a book. But I just think to myself, like, what people has he got around him? Because is he speaking to does he have close friends? Does he have people that are actually interested in him? Because if he did, I'm sure that book would be written. Well, be close to, like, it would be started, wouldn't it? He would be writing that book.
I don't think he'd really had that conversation fully with anybody. I think he had a lot of distractions in his life. I think by the way he was talking, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll just do this instead." And I'm sure he mentioned about he was talking about playing on a game quite a bit. And I was thinking, like, take those distractions out of your life. Or if you really do believe that you need more life experience until you need to write a book, go out and gain that life experience. Everybody's got their own sort of opinions on how they want to live their life, but to me, if you've got these sort of desires to create a book in the future, I don't think sitting there and playing a game is the best way to go about it. No. And I think he's got very, very limiting beliefs about himself if he thinks he can only create a book in the future and not create a book right now.
It might. Do you know what they call this? Something similar to this imposter syndrome. So it's basically, it kind of links back to what I forgot about speaking about earlier on, people born in positions of privilege and stuff. So they have it set out for them, but people that, just your standard people, they might have their role models and stuff, and when they do things similar to them, they don't feel like they're worthy of being that good. And it's called imposter syndrome. Right. So they feel like an imposter, basically. Mm-hmm. So say I'm doing rap and I'm doing really good, I might never feel like I'm good enough, even though I could be just as good as some, can you name a rapper for me quickly? Big L. Like, in my head, I think I can't be as good as Big L, or even if I was as good as Big L, I can't appreciate it because I feel like I'm an imposter. Yeah, I see where you're going with this, and my counter argument to anybody saying something like this is, yeah, you can't be as good at being Big L as Big L is at being himself, because you aren't Big L, you are you. So why not concentrate on being the best version of yourself and not the best version of somebody else? Yeah, you're right. Rest in peace, Big L. yeah. Rest in peace, Big L. But do you know, it all links back. So, like, I think when you've got these great ideas, you need a good support system. And I think that people that feel like, I can't do this right now, I don't have this, I don't have that, that's because they don't have the right support system. Like, you've got to ask who's around you. Like, who have you got around you? Because you've already got a negative mind frame if you feel like you can't do something. That's already negativity. So when it comes down to things like that, you need to ask yourself, like, who is around me right now and what am I taking from these people? Because many times you end up in a toxic group of friends. And I know until we met, I didn't believe. Like, I didn't believe, man. And then it took me to I need to share my ideas to people that also have drive, because, listen, you will share your ideas with certain people and they will not be happy for you. Yeah. Even though you think they're your best friends, they just don't have that type of motivation. Do you know why that is? It's because they don't have that drive. Mm-hmm. It does boil down to that, because I've been in that situation when people have told me their ideas, and because I didn't have the drive to do what I wanted, I didn't respect their drive to do what they wanted. Do you think it might be a little bit of jealousy? Do you think they might be a little bit jealous of your drive and realise that they don't have it in themselves? Absolutely, because I felt the same before. I mean, we all have to go through things to change our behaviours, and I went through a lot of this, so I didn't believe in myself. So when someone else did believe in themselves, I couldn't really be as happy as I should have been for them. Yeah. And it's a regret when I look back on it. Like, maybe I should have been more happy for them. Maybe I should have gave them that encouragement to go and chase it even more. So when someone's writing a book, I think you need to ask yourself, like, who's around me right now? Because if I want to really push myself out of my comfort zone and do something massive, like write a book, like, that is just not what a normal the average person, not a normal person, sorry. The average person where we're from, they're not just writing books. They probably don't even know how to string a proper sentence. I know I didn't. So there must be many more out there that do the same. So I think sometimes you just need to cut them toxic people out of your life, because if you're around cynical people, you become cynical. You will become cynical, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I read this document before, and it's Downing who actually talks a lot about this, and you basically become a mold of the 5 people that you spend your most time with.
Yeah.
So if you spend your time with 5 successful lawyers, you might not become a successful lawyer, but more than likely you're going to become successful in whatever career that it is that you do. But if you hang around with 5 convicts who just, and this is, I know everybody's made bad decisions in life, so I'm not sort of talking down to anybody, but if you hang around with 5 convicts, more than likely you're going to become a convict as well. And it's so good that you brought up support there, because, and especially within the friends that you're around, because one of your lyrics is, I suppose I've grown to be more than a lonely showman.
Yeah.
And that you absolutely have grown to be more than a lonely showman.
Yeah. So for a long time, it was just me knowing that I could do something, like feeling that I could do something massive and just not doing it. But right now, I believe it so much. Like, this is just the start for me. And the more you see me, the more you're going to see what the ideas that are really in my head. Like, I really want to change things.
For me personally, I can see you changing already. I can see you developing. I can see you growing. And the more you write, the more songs you create, you can see this confidence inside you growing. You can see this fire in your belly to get the next album underway. Sometimes you might slip off the pedal a little bit, but who doesn't? We all do that. But what you shouldn't do when you do take your foot off the pedal, when you do take your foot off the gas, what you shouldn't do is punish yourself.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you are guilty of punishing yourself when you do take your foot off the gas, and that's nothing to be guilty for, because we are, like you've said it yourself, so repeat the phrase to yourself, you aren't perfect, and you do live in an imperfect world, so don't punish yourself when you make these mistakes, just learn from them.
I mean, we spoke about on the last podcast, there's a fine line between self-criticism and self-hate, and with me, I punish myself quite a lot, so I'm constantly punishing myself, and it's just this like kind of curse I've got, always wanting to do better.
Yeah.
And I realised a while back that you need to be outside of your comfort zone, and I feel like I'm constantly outside of my comfort zone at the moment, and that's why there's so much stress.
Yeah.
But I understand that you remove the toxic people out your life, which I did. Before I met you, there was a few toxic people in my life, and I thought these people, I don't want to name names, but the individual, let's stick with this one individual, I really just put all my attention into making them great, and by doing that, I just didn't pay any attention to myself. And it was the hardest thing to do, to cut this person off. So once I cut that person off, even though it didn't feel good things started to happen. And then it just made me realise, you need to be outside of your comfort zone, pushing for things that you really want. And that's the way you'll really achieve happiness, because the happiest version of you is going to be the person that is pushing the boundaries and going for them goals that you want to achieve. Yes,
and again, it's so important to set goals in your life. If you don't set goals in your life, then you're kind of like a leaf blowing around in the wind, because you got no direction. If you need to set goals in many areas of your life, whether it's relationships, whether it's finances, whether it's your health, whether it's your fitness, in all these whether even your spirituality. In my eyes, I think all these different areas and different aspects and they all needed some sort of attention, and some sort of attention almost every day. For me, balance in your life is so important. Balance is key. And you can go out of balance for periods of time to get one thing on track, but at the same time, you know that it's along the line you have to bring it back into balance, because that is where you do belong. That's where everything's aligned, and that's where you feel good about yourself.
I completely agree with that.
And I think, personally, we shouldn't really strive for happiness. I think we should strive for fulfillment. I think happiness comes from instant gratification. And if you look for instant gratification, it might be the material objects that you buy. And let's face it, anybody can go and buy a watch. Anybody can go and buy a watch, and then that's that instant gratification paying off in your mind. You don't necessarily need that instant gratification. What you should really challenge yourself to do is something hard, something that takes a little bit of grit and determination, and then when you achieve it, you become a lot happier version of yourself there.
And you know what? This links into something quite interesting. So, say before I finished writing the EP, I was looking for perfection. So and then you come to a point when you realise it doesn't have to be perfect. Strive for the excellence, because people often want things perfectly. And that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
When you're looking for perfection, because a lot of people don't understand what perfection requires from you. So to get something perfect, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of difficulty, a lot of research, a lot of this, that, and the other. And nobody ever reaches that pinnacle of perfection. You got to strive to be excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what pushed me to actually doing the work. So say if you wanted to write a book, I need more life experiences, because you're in the head, you want it to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect.
No.
You just got to do it. You just got to make the start and start getting those things written down, because you'll never do it. It's just another way of procrastinating.
So we talk about this quite a lot when it's striving for perfection, and when it comes to, especially when you were releasing your music videos in the past, and you'd write a post out and then you'd send it to us in the group and you'd be like, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? What do you think of this? And every time I was just sat there thinking, you're concentrating too much on something that really doesn't matter, because in 5 years' time, you're going to look back at that post and you won't even remember questioning whether it was the right word to use or whether it was the right thing to say at that time, because in reality, it doesn't really matter. But you are striving for perfection when you do that. You don't need to strive for perfection. You just need to strive for excellence. And if you were to look back at the posts that you've probably deleted without actually posting, you'd realise that they are all excellent.
It's all irrelevant, man, and you just get caught up in the wrong things. The bigger picture is... It's when the bigger picture is so far away from you, it's easy to get hooked into these little things, because your brain's looking for something.
Yeah.
And I've been a victim of that so many times. I mean, so many times, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm definitely not scared to show my vulnerabilities and my insecurities, because at the end of the day, if push comes to shove, I'm willing to stand like a man and I'm willing to drop like a man. I hate that phrase, by the way, a man.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
As I said it, I was like, I hate saying that.
Cringe.
Because women the same. I know women. There's just a strong, even stronger. It's like a real person. Like I'm true to myself, and that way I know I'm not gonna ever be scared in any situation. So, I mean, I don't cry often, but you could see me cry. Mm-hmm. But then the next day you'll see me smash something. I mean, not physically smash something up. You'll see me go for my goals like no other person. So you could see me in the vulnerable state, and then you will see me at the same time doing something. Yeah.
This is so relevant to what I wrote down when I pulled out your lyrics earlier on, or last night when I was reading through them. Drowning in my doubts, my plan is worth it, but damn it hurts. So you got your plan, you're drowning in your doubts, but it does hurt. It's
drowning
not easy.
In my doubts, my plan is worth it, but damn it hurts.
Yeah. What you've just been
in my doubts.
Drowning in your doubts, and we do all drown in our doubts. I question myself quite a lot when I'm making certain decisions in life, and that is just me doubting myself. So then if I'm gonna keep pulling your lyrics apart, I'm drowning in my doubts, but my plan, I do believe, is worth it. Whether it's going to work, I don't know. I've got big ideas for my own future. Yeah. Like I said, whether it's going to work, I don't know. But what is worth it is trying. Yeah. And I'm happy to drown in my doubts for now. Because I'm learning a lot about myself when I'm drowning in my doubts, because it makes me work a little bit harder.
So if you enter these places without understanding what you're going through, then it can really be troublesome for your mental state. Mm-hmm. But when you realise that these doubts are coming because you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, you start to notice this is the process you have to go through to come out at the other end of the tunnel. Got to keep pushing, push. Yeah. And you will get to the end. It's just like how many grains of sand will make a beach. Like, say if you were creating your beach, you're dropping these grains of sand. You're like, this is never going to make a pile. Then one day that one grain of sand will drop and you look and it's a beach.
The beach is complete.
It's complete. You'd be like, but how many grains of sand does it take? Let's forget the beach. Think of a pile. So how many grains of sands make a pile? Yeah. Like you keep dropping these grains of sand.
Never mind.
Never knowing when it'll be a pile.
A grain of sand is tiny. Imagine when a grain of sand just fills a timer. I wonder how many grains of sand are in a timer.
Exactly. Imagine filling a timer, man. You've got to keep filling that. Put them bits of sand in the timer.
And flip it.
And don't stop. You just got to keep chipping away every day.
Yeah.
Like, do not stop. Especially once you've built up a bit of momentum. It could be absolutely anything in life. You can transfer these same principles to anything in life. You just got to, whatever you want to go for, you just got to keep chipping away. And I'm speaking about it like I'm fucking doing it myself. Well, I am chipping away. But I'm still in that journey. I'm still in that process. And it just never stops. Even when you look at people at the top, they're still plugging away. Yeah. There's still things that you need to do. The grind never stops.
The beach is never full.
I suppose there's always going to be a bit more space to fill, but with global warming, I don't know, the beaches could get global warming?
The beach is a nice place to be.
Yeah.
So keep trying to fill it. Keep trying to fill that beach. Keep dropping the bits of sand in there because the beach is a nice place to be.
You'll
and
never know when you create your own beach, man. Keep dropping them grains of sand until you've got your own private beach.
Yeah, and then you might create your own legacy.
Yeah, exactly. It's all part of creating that. Wherever you look, every one of us, there's something deep down that we want to do and we're not doing. Or maybe a lot of us are doing it, but there's a lot of us out there that are just not doing what we're doing and we're too busy judging everyone else that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
Like, do you not realise that it's 2018, we're a lot smarter these days, so when we see people doing these judgmental things, we understand the psychology behind it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not fooling anybody apart from yourself. We know why you're saying what you're saying because we've researched it.
This is a rant.
We've researched it, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of it, like I could rant about a lot of things, and I am pretty outspoken, but I like to show that a non-judgmental side, because there's a lot of things that are just this irrelevant in the long scheme of things, in the bigger scheme. To
me, it's interesting because all you're doing is expressing an opinion, and an opinion is opinion. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. And what you are very good at is accepting other people's opinions. So you are very, in a way, you are very opinionated, but you also accept other people's opinions.
Absolutely.
So it's a healthy way to be opinionated, and I think, me personally as well, we can always work harder to accept other people's opinions and accept when they are different to our own.
Exactly. That's it. We've got to accept each other for what we are. We all can shine as bright as each other. There's no need for me to be offended by somebody else's opinion unless it directly affects me. Unless they're directly affecting me, you can have your opinion. It's a freedom of speech. It's a free world. Mm-hmm. As long as you're not hurting somebody, I do not care.
Yeah,
I do not care. I've got my opinion too, and it's just one of those things where hopefully, if it's a big strong difference of opinion, hopefully we can find a middle ground and speak. But I have got my opinions on a lot of things, and as time goes on, hopefully I can be a bit more open about things that I really want to speak about.
Yeah, and I'm in a similar position. I'd love to talk more openly about sort of everything that's happened in my past.
Yeah.
I think it just takes a little bit of time to be willing to sit, especially behind a microphone, and talk about it comfortably. Because it's I guess you are trying to push yourself to grow when you do openly speak about your past, especially when you know many individuals outside are going to be judging you from your past when you speak openly about it. So it's quite hard because you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself when you do open up. But I know for me personally, there's a lot of things in my life and my past that I would love to open up and speak about.
Well, why not? Well, we're here to do it, aren't we? So
that's it.
We'll both work towards that point together.
I tell you what, this lyric, what's the point in breathing when I don't even know the meaning of the words I'm speaking? To me, makes a lot of sense. Because I don't believe that a lot of people really do know the true meaning of the words that they are saying. And for me, it brings me back to emotions and where people live emotionally. Everybody has an emotional home, but they don't even realise it. No. And when I've done some sort of soul searching in the past and digged into the sort of where I was in the past again, I've realised that I've lived in this sort of anxious world where I'm always on the move, always on the rush to get things done. Yeah. And I get this sort of rush of adrenaline pulsing through my veins. If I've got a deadline or if I've got a time to be somewhere, I'm like, I have to go, and I'll start feeling the stress. But this isn't just about getting in the van and driving from one place to the next. This is just about getting out of the door, or this is just about making a cup of tea to get to the next point. And when I recognised this sort of sense of feeling inside me, I was like, this needs to change. But the only way to change it was to accept that this was wrong, understand what the opposite emotion was, which was just purely calm. I just want to live a calm, slowed down lifestyle. So now when I sort of get these feelings and I get these emotions running through me, I can take a step back. I'm like, no, you know what? I'm not just going to do it slow. I'm going to do it slower than I would do it slow. So I'm going to really calm down. And then what I'm doing is I'm really practicing with determination to get this negative energy, this negative emotion out of my body, because I don't need it. It doesn't serve me well, and I want to move on. I want to get away from it, and it's going to help me move forward in life. But the only way you can do it is by recognizing where you live emotionally, because we all have an emotional home. It's
like people they're just not ready to accept certain things, and they're not ready to process certain information wherever they are in their life at the moment. It kind of interferes with the image that they're putting out there for themselves. And for some reason, we do this all the time, even though we claim to be so open. There's lots of things we're resistant to still, but we're just picking up on that type of stuff. But if you look at the whole process from being born, like you're conditioned.
You're a blank slate. You're a blank slate when you're born.
And you're conditioned. Even most people say the parents are the ones that fuck them up, right? And it's true because your parents aren't psychologists. They don't understand human behaviour. Like they're not doctors in human behaviour. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're obviously going to pass some things down on you that are not beneficial, but it's been passed down to them.
Unintentionally, they will give you limiting beliefs.
Exactly. So let's just go down to the very basics, and then obviously you're all smart enough to think of where this goes to. So you're a kid. You don't know how to speak. Who teaches you language? Before you know, I'm bilingual. I didn't sit down and remember the second language. I just became conscious, and I was like, "Whoa, I know 2 languages here." It's you're programmed. You don't. So think of Can you remember what you were doing up to 2 years old, 3 years old? Nah.
Yeah, of course I do. I was crawling around in nappies.
You're taking in shit. Like you're taking in loads of shit. Like you're being taught what to do constantly. You're constantly being taught about colours, this, that. So say like a little kid jumps up on a table. What are you going to tell that kid to do?
Get down.
These are the things that build up slowly. So get down from that table. Don't draw in there. Draw in between the lines.
So I'm going to give a parent a lesson here. And I try my hardest with my daughter when she's colouring in. I always say, colour outside the lines. Colour outside the lines. I'm like, create your own lines. Create your own lines. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just say, create your own lines. You don't always need to stick within the boundaries. You don't always need to draw within the lines. Create your own lines. It's nice. It's pretty. You don't need to stay within those boundaries. And that's the boundaries of life.
It's such a beautiful metaphor. Like, we're taught to draw in between the lines. Like, there's nothing on this planet that's there's nothing on this planet that's just as easy as that. Yeah. Everything's out of the box.
Yeah.
So everything that you've been taught and conditioned. So it could even be like things that you're scared of. Like you could be, or when you're in a rush, that might come back from being a kid and you being rushed by your parents somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, come on, Joe, come on. And then you don't know, you just feel things and you're not in control of your feelings really at that age.
No, and then those develop, those grow, and then as you get older, they get stronger, and then it takes a real strong mind to understand that those sort of feelings that you do get are probably stemmed from when you were a child.
Exactly, it comes from stuff that you're not aware of, and it takes a lot to realise where you go wrong, because we all sit here in our own minds, we think the world revolves around us.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No.
Like you think, I'll never end up with this illness, I'll never do this will never happen to me. Like you're just living in a false little reality. It's warped.
But sometimes life is pretty shit.
Life is pretty shit.
Life can be pretty shit, and you can be dealt an unfair hand. And I think, Shakk, we should listen to 24/7. Let's go.
I got the eye of the tiger. There's no way that I can win. Just as long as I keep trying. No such thing as the limit. I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7.
I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7. Look in the mirror, who is staring back at me? Scary fags catch me, glaring past like paparazzi. Daydreaming while I stay scheming. Whether it's day or evening, I'ma break even. I feel a rush of dopamine, the push will focus me. No one is closest me to be the coldest in this hopeless scene. But still I hope it grows, like Pinocchio's his nose. Still I win the only fun, I make them quit or overdose. I passed the penmanship apprenticeship, so if I end it quick, you can benefit from my sentences. I wanna spit real facts, but they'll censor it. And the real fact is that the public is sensitive. Fuck it, I'll mention it. Austerity, murder, posterity, what a burden, burning our heritage. We gotta let them know, the cause is getting big. Pessimists are hesitant, but these wars are indefinite.
Got the eye of the tiger. There's no way that I can win. Just as long as I keep trying. No such thing as the limit. I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7.
I'm out here shining 24/7.
24/7.
I
Let me
stay
take it back to the hook.
grinding
24/7. What's the point
point in breathing when I don't even know the meaning of the words I'm speaking. There's too much fight in my gloves to be left cut open bleeding. Too much life in my lungs to be caught up by the scheming. Survive rain and thunderstorms, that's how the hunger form. Young and bored, dumb and poor, I had to do something I never done before. That's dig deep, think big, quickly. Shifty characters, they want to rinse me and grind me down like I mincemeat. I used to wrestle teddy bears right in my living room. Now I wrestle demons and devils I'll never give in to. Fighting till I'm miserable like Iron Mike, but with my iron mic, watch iron strike like a lion's bite. My entire life I've worked towards a golden moment, but what's my legacy worth without a bold opponent? My highs and lows, I've owned it, I've shown I'm focused, and I suppose I've grown to be more than a lonely showman.
Eye of the tiger, there's no way that I can win. Just as long as I keep trying, no such thing as the limit. I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7.
I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7. I'll split a river with a palm thrust, make you shiver with a calm look. You'd think these fakes were starstruck. So many artists that I can't trust. That's why I'm dipping like a car clutch. If you slip, that's hard luck. I've got scars cuts deeper than the planet Earth. Drowning in my doubts, my planet's worth it, but damn it hurts. No time for can it work, I won't open that can of worms. I attack it first, I fold them in four like packing shirts. Blood, sweat, tears, a whole load of nonsense. Fuck the rap facades, I wanna crack the codes of conscience. Smash my foes constantly, I battle with my monsters. Honestly, it will take more than wannabes to stop this. Like a hostage at a crime scene, it's time to give it up. Got one shot at my dream, like it's stick 'em up. One day I'll live it up, for now I'm doing reps training. You best save it, cause you're messing with the next greatest.
Eye of the tiger, there's no way that I can win. Just as long as I keep trying, no such thing as the limit. I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7.
I'm out here shining
24/7.
I stay grinding
24/7.
Rolling. That is 24/7 by Shakk.
Yeah, and guess what? I wasn't on my phone when we come back
Oh, no.
in this time. Yes!
No. Can we just
Progress.
pretend? Shakk, put the phone down.
Progress.
Put the phone down.
I'm just going to say quickly, if you want to listen to 24/7, get yourself on Apple Music, Spotify, the rest of it. It's all there for you, man.
Yeah, get it listened to.
Let's go get yourself there.
Get the plays in. Are you ever going to create a video for this one?
I'm thinking about just doing a little lyric video for it.
Oh, you know what? I've been so close to saying this today. Why don't you do just a lyric video for one or two of your songs so that there's another video on YouTube for you that can create more momentum?
Yeah, there's definitely something that I'm looking into doing. Get a lyric video done for that, and then shooting the video for Young Pablo in September.
Yes. What? How? No. You know what?
I don't want to give away the
let's
location,
not give.
but we're going abroad.
Let's not
We're going
speak.
abroad for the Young Pablo video shoot.
Nice. And this is one thing that I always mean to ask you, because I always talk about it myself. Do you have a favourite lyric within this song or within any songs? Do you ever pull out a certain lyric where you think that's the one for me that sort of sets the tone of the song?
Nah, I don't have a fit. I don't have.
Do you think that's quite egotistical to do that?
No, because do you know what? Do you know how much time goes into writing each line? Each line's like a baby to me, especially when I'm writing it. But when you hear it's just in 3 minutes, but you don't realise the time and effort that's gone into that.
When you think about it, 25 years goes into each line.
Exactly, like it's my whole life experience goes into these lyrics. So
I was actually listening to a podcast from Ross Edgley yesterday when he was on London Real.
Yeah.
And he was speaking, because he's just wrote that, obviously, that massive book, The World's Fittest Book. And he was talking about, like, sort of his life experience, all his life knowledge and experience so far went into creating that book. So everything that he knows right there is on the plate, is on the table.
Yeah, and that's what comes with dedication. You dedicate your life to knowing something so well. You dedicate your life to finding out the nuances, all the little bits and details and this, that, and the other that goes into making something great.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the privilege to write in a book like that. You know, he's put all of his effort in there to get that knowledge. He deserves to be able to write a great book like that.
Absolutely. And this is another question I was going to ask. What are your views on rap music? Because the lyric, my favourite lyric, so the reason why I asked you this, my favourite lyric is "Fuck the rap facades. I want to crack the codes of conscience."
Actually, that is probably one of my favourites.
You
Rap
liar.
is so infested with some. I know. I just excuse my French for this. I just want to express myself at the moment. Rap's filled up with so much bullshit, so much poison for the brain, especially what's being pushed out. And if you're not really up to date with these type of things or don't understand how media industries work and stuff, you don't really realise it. But the powers that be are pushing out a certain image, a certain style, and at the moment, it's depression and prescription drugs.
Ooh.
And what bothers me the most at the moment is there's talking about depression, they're talking about mental health, but they're not talking about anything to help you with it. So they're just telling you, promoting taking, you got depression, that's cool. Take some prescription drugs, that's cool.
Yeah.
They're making it into a trend.
Well-
They're saying a trend.
They're trying to set our lifestyle out before we've even really became conscious of what we are doing, because you get forced to go to school Monday to Friday, then you get your weekend off, you get your holidays when they tell you you're getting given your holidays. You're then told that it's the right thing to go to college, to go to university, and then from then on forwards you'll get the job, you'll work Monday to Friday, you might work shifts, you might get a little bit lucky and earn a little bit of money offshore, but in reality all you're going to do is come back and you're going to have the marriage, you're going to have the kids, you're going to buy a house, and then you're just going to grow old. And so
That's
many
most people's life.
and I feel like, but we're force fed this from a young age, so that nobody really questions it, that it could possibly be the wrong way to live your life.
Exactly, and it's all done for a reason. Like, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper into these subjects, but let's just keep it basic. It's all done for a certain reason. The way we live at the moment, it's like a hierarchy. So wealth is what makes us who we are these days. I don't like that, but it is what it is. At the moment, the way it works, it has to be someone that's richer than everyone else. Or it has to be families that are richer than everyone else, and it comes down in this hierarchy, and we're somewhere there in the bottom.
They keep the money at the top.
And basically, they push things through media, TV, music, film. They push this way of life onto us.
Yeah.
And it all feeds into all the agenda. The agenda is to make us keep spending and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's such a wide variety of things that could go into here, but let's just keep it on this type of thing. So they want us to be consumers, and what they do, they sell us these lifestyles and make us feel like that's what we need.
Yeah.
And before you know it, everyone on Instagram's wearing them clothes from the thingy, they're acting out the music videos, and we feel like we need to join in that too. So the issue with rap music we've got at the moment, there's not enough originality. And it even comes back to here, whatever's going on in the northeast right now. I see a lot of talented people, but I also see a lot of fucking stupid people. and some of them stupid people are the talented people that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because they're too busy watching music videos and wanting to act like everybody else in the videos.
Yeah.
They're too busy recreating somebody else's song.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck are you doing? What you're doing it for is because you're in your head. You just want to live up to this image of the person you see in the music video. You want to be the person in the music videos.
Yeah.
You crack on. That's all I've got to say. These people crack on because you've got the talent, but you just don't have the mind frame for it.
It's a shame. It's a shame because these people, these individuals, they must be so creative to be able to do the stuff that they're doing.
Absolutely, and I
but
respect
they're dumbing
that.
down their own creativity by sort of buying into this sort of facade that they're not even really in tune with.
Exactly, because they don't have an image for themselves. So basically, they see something that they see on TV. It could be a black person on TV, and this is a white person from who knows where. Somewhere in the northeast where there's only 2 or 3 black people in the whole neighbourhood.
So let's go to your past. You told me that when you went to London, when you were living down there, the first time you went down there, didn't you try and sort of rap or sing in like their sort of twang and their sort of accent? And they were like, what are you doing?
Used to put London accent on, so I lived in London. I lived in London, and I was around people that you might see on TV right now, but I'm not here to name drop. And I was around these people every day, and I used to try and speak like them. I used to try and rap similar to them.
How did that make
with
you
the
feel
accent.
when you were trying? What were you trying to do when you were trying to speak like them? Were you?
Weird, isn't it? Somewhere in your head, you're thinking this is what a rapper is. So you don't see your own image. You don't, because it hasn't been much. There's no rappers from the northeast that have ever done anything big, or there's been none that have actually paved the way for us. When you go to these areas, it's part of the culture. It's built into the culture. Rap is not built into the northeast culture, even though there's been the niches. I know Newcastle have been doing the rap bits for however long. It's not built into the culture. It's completely different. And what you get here is little kids watching these music videos and not understanding the history of hip hop, rap, all this music.
Yeah.
And they just see whatever's mainstream. So you see a kid trying to act like, I don't know, let's even just bring it into more modern day. You see a kid trying to act like Bugsy Malone. Like, you're not Bugsy Malone. You're not missed. You're not this kid. You're not that kid.
It goes back to what we said earlier.
You're someone from the northeast. Be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
Be
don't,
you.
Don't be the best version of yourself. Don't be the best version of, or don't attempt to be the best version of somebody else. Because
Exactly.
you were never going to be that person.
Exactly.
You were only ever going to be yourself. So be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
Realize what your niche is. Realize what you're good at. Spark your own creativity.
Yeah.
And take it off from there. You don't need to live. You don't need to live in somebody else's shoes.
You know what? That's true. It's so true. And I just want people in the northeast to find their own identity. And it's so important for you. So I hear one guy who's really, really good, spits phenomenally, gets 20,000 views, but he's using another rapper's flow. And if he's listening to this, I won't mention your name, but you're using another rapper's flow constantly, and I really appreciate what you do, and I really respect what you do, because I know how hard it is to write lyrics, but be yourself.
Yeah. Look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror and look who's staring back. It's not so-and-so, it's a kid from the northeast.
Yeah, it's a
be
kid.
you.
Yeah, be yourself.
Be you.
Unapologetically.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Nah, it's fine, man. And I think the way that you close the song down, you best save it because you're messing with the next greatest. You're stamping your authority, Shakk.
Yeah, do you know what? I was getting a bit theatrical there. And
I think you're getting off your chest what you need to say.
It's just fun to express yourself without. I'm not
Express
scared of judgment,
yourself.
and I just wanted to just express myself a little bit there, and it felt really good. But this is it. I will be the next greatest, and if they don't know that by now, especially in this region, you better know it now, because you might be feeling like you're doing very well, and I hope the best for you, and I hope your star shines as bright as my star. But in my head, I will be the next big thing.
Yeah, you will be the next greatest.
I will do it, and it comes to a point now where if you're not into what I'm saying, then what are you listening to me for? Why are you even bothering me? Do you know what? While we're on this, I don't know. Let me just express myself out here.
Go on.
If you're my friend and you're sending me an inbox about how proud of me you are, why are you not sharing my music?
Yeah.
Why are you not showing it to the public? Why are you sending me a cheeky inbox? Or why do I get so many friend requests and none of them want to support? It's just like you just want to say that, I know this person and blah, blah, blah. Nobody's showing no real support.
Yeah.
And that's why I do not do this for any of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't care about their friendships.
I think people, especially if they're a close friend, they should always show the support in any way possible. If they're going to do the
There's been
inbox.
so many people that have.
Yeah.
People I don't even know, strangers. You know how many people have given me positive feedback? And then I'm looking around at the people that matter the most. And I say the people that matter the most. They don't really, because I've got a solid group of friends. Like I've got everything I need in my life. I just wanted to rant a little bit there, because I've been getting a lot of inboxes of people saying, "Oh, we're proud of you. We always knew you could do this." Blah blah. Why are you filling me full of shit for? Like, I don't want to hear your shit. You haven't spoke to me for 5 years. Why are you suddenly bothered now?
What do you think their intentions are when they message you?
I've been the same. Sometimes you just want a reaction off that person. So
Every
sometimes you
action
just want them
creates
to
a
reply back, or sometimes you just want them to know, like, just in case anything does happen. So say, just in case I do end up making shitloads of money, they got the foot in the door a bit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still about. Remember me? I was your friend.
Do you think that's possibly what they're looking for? I think that could be a hidden agenda when people do messages saying stuff like this.
Listen, I know these things because I've been that person myself. I've been close to someone that's blew up recently.
Yeah.
And that person used to ask me for features, ask me for this, that and the other, and I didn't do it for so long. Then I seen them starting to take off and I was like, shit, I need to get that feature sorted. So I'd send them the music. Nothing come from it, and that's all because of my fault. I wanted to get my foot in the door once I seen them do something good. So you learn from your mistakes, and you've got... And some people they must think that you're just not really aware of like how things work. They don't realise that the excuses that they've used 15 times, you've used them 15 times. Like, I understand the bullshit.
Yeah.
But
Can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you'll see someone that hasn't spoke to me for years sharing my music saying, my bro, my old friend, my this, that. You didn't give a fuck about me, let's be honest here. Like, you've just seen something getting shared and now you want to join in on it.
They want to jump in the bandwagon.
And I appreciate everybody that does show their support. Like, that means more to me than anything else, but this is just something that happens. And I just thought I'd shine some light to it.
Yeah, let's face it, you got a lot of supporters and you got a lot of people who are sharing your stuff, and whenever you get on the stage, especially at the O2, that was fucking brilliant, that was. And you got the crowd going big time, and to be part of the crowd and know the hard work and commitment that you've put into everything that you did, that the reason why you're up there, it's it felt like an honour to be in the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it is everything to me, and that's why I will stand my ground. And I know I've said some things that might come across wrong, but at the end of the day, there's plenty of room in the sky for all the stars to shine. You don't see one star shining and says to the next star, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing shining so bright?" Like, I need to shine. The sky's massive, and we're all here to do this. And the reason I reflect on these things is because I want the best for everyone.
I've got to thought. The sky is massive. The sky could be in.
The sky is huge. Do you know stars are born together? You know, they're born in a cluster.
They're born in the cluster, and then what? And then
so stars they're all born at the same time. Like, certain clusters of stars are born at the same time, and they're all born together.
And then they sort of expand away from each other.
I don't know that far into it. I need to read back. But stars are born together, so we need to work together for us to all shine.
The sky is big, but is it infinite?
The infinite is it's a crazy topic, that, because infinite infinite never stops.
Infinite never stops.
Continually
we
growing.
Can't. Our small little minds cannot get our head around the fact that the universe could possibly be infinite.
Yeah. It's just it's hard to think of something like that, isn't it?
We are literally. I feel like sometimes, you talked about global warming earlier. I think sometimes we are the germs of this planet. We are the cancers. We are little parasites. And if you were to zoom out from the planet and like sort of do a time lapse over the last 50 years, you just see these tumours growing out in the planet where cities are developing, and we're just little parasites.
We mass produce absolutely everything, and then we tell everyone that everything's running out. Like, there's even too much socks in this world. Trust me. They say you're running out of this, running out of that. We're not running out of shit. We've got too much of everything.
My socks have holes in them.
And it's a way to make us consume even more. It's a way to make us consume even more.
Consumer society.
That's what we are. We
are a consumer society. We're always looking for more.
It's a curse, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think so. I'm going to go back to your best saver because you're messing with the next greatest. For me, what's so important is to have a positive motivator in your life and not a negative motivator. And you should always work towards something and not away from something. So I'm going to talk about health and fitness when it comes to this topic because it's the easiest thing for me to concentrate on. But if you are maybe obese or overweight and you want to get fit, the problem is people tend to concentrate on wanting to lose weight instead of wanting to get fit. So you've always got that negative motivator in your life instead of looking to the future and looking for the positive motivator in your life. Yeah. And it's very important to realise that it's damaging, very damaging to your own self-esteem, because then you've got a limiting belief on yourself when you say, because essentially you are calling yourself fat when you say, I want to lose weight. You're saying that you're not good enough, when what you should always concentrate on is the future and have a positive motivator. And you should say, I want to be fit, not I want to lose weight. And I can only say when you say stuff like your best saver because you're messing with the next greatest, that's, to me, you look into the future because you're going to be the next greatest. And for me, that lyric sort of sums up this full EP.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is, might have said a lot of shit, but this is this is my passion. Like, this is it. I give this everything I've got, and I fully believe in myself. Like, that's what you need.
Shakk.
That's what all of us need.
I fully believe in you too.
Thank you, mate. And,
absolutely. You got my full support, and I'd imagine anybody who listens to this, you've probably got their full support. If you haven't got their full support, then I'm questioning you right now. Why aren't you fully supporting Shakk? Because he is going big.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things. It's this, just like touching back on it, there's not much rap culture up here, but people need to appreciate good music, and I'm not saying go listen to my music. I don't force anybody to listen to my music. It is for the people that want to listen to it. But at the end of the day, I just feel like there's a gap for it up here, and we need some proper music. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of talented people, like I've said, from the Northeast. We're just working our way to finding our feet and finding our identity as a region. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at the Northwest, they've got people. They've got Bugsy. They've got that. You look in the Midlands, they've got their own people. You look down south, they've got their people. The Northeast is the only region that doesn't have a standout person or somebody really making moves in music.
Making a statement.
Yeah. I think there is someone flying under the radar at the moment that's being played on, like, getting Maida Vale sessions and stuff like that. So they're starting to make a bit of a splash in the scene. And but they're not really involved in what I'm speaking about. It just comes to a point now where we just need, as a region, we just need to get behind things, people moving in a positive way, because for such a long time the North East has been laughed at. And it's not just in everything, it's more of a comedic region. It's like people want your joke, they want to make a joke out the North East constantly.
It's our accents.
Yeah, it's like...
We don't ever pronounce... I never pronounce my T's.
I say a day.
What
you doing? A day?
Yeah. What is that all about? Like, when I listen back to these podcasts and I'm listening to myself talk and I'm like, just say T. It's not hard to pronounce your T's.
It's
but
not.
it is.
These accents... It's funny having this
but
accent.
I'm even doing it as I'm talking about what I'm talking about. I'm saying but.
What you doing?
But.
What you doing? But. It links back to when I was in London, man. I went down there with my northern accent, and it wasn't really like, obviously you've been around people in the northeast from different places, but when I went to London and I was only surrounded by people with London accents, I could literally hear myself speak out loud, and I could hear every little bit of my accent, and it just made me realise it's a massive barrier. It can be, until you learn to communicate. But we only have fucking Ant and Dec on the TV from the North East. Like, we've only got a few people and they have to change their accents. We need to, as a region, be proud of all the talent here. Be proud of everyone doing their thing, because they're pushing the sounds of the North East.
We've got a lot going for us, and I know where I live, technically not even really part of the North East. I'd class it as part of North Yorkshire, but I am so proud of where I live. The fact that I can leave my door, go on a 10-mile run and reach the highest point in the North Yorkshire Moors, turn around and come back, all within 10 miles. Amazing, it's an unbelievable place to live, and I feel like we are so lucky in the environment that we are surrounded in, and we just don't make. But we don't make the most of it. People just think, Middlesbrough's a shithole. Middlesbrough's not. It's a gorgeous place to live if you actually open your eyes up and see what it's got. We got the Matterhorn of the Northeast.
What's the Matterhorn?
The Matterhorn, the famous mountain in Switzerland. We got Rosebery Topping. Rosebery Topping. If anybody wants to Google this, Rosebery Topping was on a top 10 list of places to propose in the world.
Really?
Yeah, I'll show you it after. On a top 10 list. The top 10 list is probably a shit top 10, but it's on a top 10 list.
Wonder what number
Something to be proud of. But Shakk, I think we can call it a day. We can hopefully look forward to the next one. We're aiming to get a guest on, and we're going to talk a little bit about future goals, future ambitions, and anybody who's made it this far. I think it's been a bit of a long podcast, I'm unsure, but the next podcast that we're going to get a guest on, hopefully he's available, and we're going to talk about setting goals, hard targets, and hitting them hard.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Shakk. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care, man.